Hello, reflection number 6. So I watched Mimi's video about learning in social media spaces. So she did a 3-year study, and her number one finding was that there was a lot of diversity in the learning, and students were using social media outlets in a varied way. And she identified two types of learners. She talked about the friendship learner, and that was the baseline social learner. So, how do I talk to people? How do I get along with people? How do I get a boyfriend, girlfriend? How am I the cool person, etc.? What's going on in the city? Are people going to the party? What they after the party? That kind of like social learning that you have to do. How to figure out how to deal with humans is what I say. And then the second type of learner she talked about was the sophisticated or the geeking out learner. And she talked about someone that's creative and they're in on intellectual pursuits with their special interests. So that's someone like, so I opened up, a photography application for, a project, but then I wanted to dive deeper and learn more and figure out all the buttons and bells and whistles. And now I've kind of become this expert at a certain, um, area of photography or making videos or like the Adobe Suites with design or something like that, where someone really has dived in deep and has become an expert and is able to use those skills in a professional sense. And so those are the two types of learners that she talks about in the video. So, as a professional educator, how am I going to deal with social media? So, one of the first things I thought about right away was educating parents about social media. So, I was in the era of get away from that TV. You don't have anything to learn from that TV. Go outside or read a book or, that kind of parent. And so, I need to now make sure that parents understand that social media has a lot to offer and that students are gaining those social skills that they used to gain by going outside and playing with the neighbor on social media. Not to say that, students don't need to build on those interpersonal face to face skills, but they're beginning to learn those things. First things first is through the internet and through, social media outlets. So that learning needs to happen, and I need to make sure parents understand that that learning needs to happen and shouldn't be undermined in any type of way. The second way that I see myself using social media is perhaps something similar to Moodle. What we do in my undergraduate, I was able to utilize Facebook to ask questions or answer forums, what's to come, what's next. All my classmates were a part of the class. They had to be added in by the professor. And that was the way that we were able to kind of toss ideas. She actually asked the forum questions on Facebook, and we were able to respond directly. So I see myself doing something similar that gives me an opening to my students' Facebook pages for later use if necessary. Now, later use meaning something like a threat, there's some type of violence, there's some type of bullying that is mentioned, and people are saying that, the social media is the outlet. Now I have an inside pass to the 25 students in my classroom, what their accounts look like. Yes, there's ways around that, but in general, I think it would be a good idea for my students to not only have access to my Facebook account or whatever I'm going to do, the school's Facebook account to ask questions. Their parents can add the class and they can follow up on what we're doing. And then one last way that I kind of see social media or my involvement with social media is like Mimi said in her video, is providing that support for the friendship learners and knowing what that's like. Is it safe? Are there times I should do that? Are there images I shouldn't and shouldn't upload? Conversations I shouldn't engage with? I think it's important to teach students how to utilize social media in safe ways because there's a lot of creepos out there and there's a lot of influence out there, and there is a lot of just false information out there as well. So teaching my students how to, kind of filter through some of the BS, so to speak. And I think that I owe them that, especially if I'm going to be asking them to engage with social media.